This is my fall Alpine carry for camping and hiking above the tree line in unpredictable conditions. I'm gonna go over the 6 or 7 categories of gear that I bring on every trip, and I use those categories to plan and adapt what I bring to make sure that I'm safe and comfortable. It's early October in the Rocky Mountains, Western Canada. I'm out here with my friend Justin, who is one of the most knowledgeable and experienced backpackers that I know.
You can see that being a little sketchy without chains.
The plan for this trip was to come and camp above the tree line in the Alpine at about 2,200 meters.
We just made it up the headwall climb and the wind has really picked up. There are white caps on this little tiny turn lake.
The first category is the big 3, and that's your shelter, your sleep system, and your packing system.
Most people camp down there by the lake, but we're gonna camp up here out in the Alpine. Justin's scouting it out. If you wanted the worst spot to camp here tonight, it would be right there.
The shelter that I chose to bring was the Durston X-Mid 1-person solid. This is just a tried and true reliable shelter that I always trust. I'm really glad that I brought it because it was so windy. The gusts were above 60 kilometers an hour last night, but inside the tent, I was warm and comfortable. The solid nylon shell inside the inner really breaks the wind. I only used the 2 main guy lines and the tent was rock solid. For the sleep system, I brought my Thermarest X-Lite mattress, very reliable. It's basically a 4-season sleeping pad. The X-Lite just always performs for me and I trust it. For my insulation, I brought my Thermarest Parsecs -6 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees Fahrenheit sleeping bag. This time of year, I just rule out the quilts. For me, quilts are a piece of gear that you use in the summer, but once the conditions get a little bit more challenging, I switch over to a sleeping bag. For packing, I'm using the Durston Kakwa 55-liter pack.
This is the second time I've taken this bag out. It's pretty new to me. So far, I'm actually really liking it. 55-liter pack, it's made of Ultra. I really think you can't go wrong with it.
Well thought out pockets all over the bag, on the hip belt, on the shoulder straps, for your water bottles. For this time of year, since I'm packing a little bit more gear, a slightly larger bag really helps. Cooking, water, and food. For cooking, I brought the MSR Windburner personal system, which performs very well in challenging conditions like this with a lot of wind. It uses the radiant burner technology. When it's cold out, you want to be able to make lots of warm drinks, warm food, and that stove is just my go-to for exactly this type of situation. We ended up cooking in a slightly sheltered area that got us out of most of the wind last night, but the wind burner still performed very well, and it definitely outperformed the stove that Justin was using right next to me. In terms of water, just 3 containers, so a 2-liter bladder, a 1-liter bottle, and a 1/2-liter bottle. The big thing here is that I didn't bring a filter. When it comes to the fall, and once the temperatures can go below freezing, I don't like having to babysit a filter, so I bring chemical treatment. I brought a little container of drops. This is a premix of Aquamira. Here in Canada, we call it Pristine. It's a chlorine-based product with 2 different solutions. When you mix them, it activates the chlorine, and I just make a premix. I keep it in my pocket. It lasts about a day. For an overnight trip like this, it's just perfect. I can just scoop up water in one of my bottles, put a few drops in there, and then give it the time for it to purify and disinfect the water, and then I'm good to go. In terms of food, I don't change that much, except I do make sure that I have a little bit more. The nights are long, the sun sets early, so I just make sure that I have a lot of food that I like, so that it gives me something to pass the time and, you know, get through those long evenings. When it comes to clothing, I don't change too much, but I add a few items just to keep me a little bit warmer and also deal with cold, wet weather. One of those items are these strange rubber gloves. They're made by a company called Temrez. I think they're for processing fish or something like that. I didn't have to use them on this trip, but I have before, and they really can be a lifesaver. Another item are these neoprene socks made by NRS. They're the 1.5 millimeter version. If I get into camp and my feet are cold and wet and my boots are soaked, I'll take my wet socks and boots off, put on dry socks, put on a plastic bag over those, and then put my feet in these neoprene socks into my shoes again. And this will really help me keep warm and get through the evening without freezing my feet. I add in some thermal leggings or long johns, whatever you want to call them. I very seldom use these, but if it's cold enough, they really are a must-have. Some rain pants are absolutely essential if the weather turns bad, or if you just feel like your clothing system isn't quite cutting it, putting these on top will make a difference. On top of all of that, I'm testing out this down hoodie from Black Diamond. It's called the Deploy hoodie. It's a featherweight hoodie that weighs 5.5 ounces or 155 grams. It packs down to the size of a softball and it uses 1,000 fill power down. Next up are the non-negotiables. I packed my tried and true Phoenix HM50R. This headlamp goes with me on almost every trip all year. A small folding knife. So this is the Rat 2. It's a really simple folding knife. An inReach satellite communicator, must have, obviously for safety reasons. And we're in bear country, so I have my bear spray and an Ursack that I use to tie my food up and store my food in at night. I do bring a few other items that aren't essential. One of those on this trip was a small chair, so the Helinox ground chair. Having a chair to be able to sit in, be comfortable, relax, and pass that long evening is a very nice luxury. And then I also carry some camera equipment. I'm filming on the DJI Pocket 3 right now, and I also have the DJI Action 4. I try to make sure that I have very small portable cameras, and these two really do fit the bill. The last piece that I didn't mention is my outdoor essentials kit. It has all kinds of different items inside of it that help me get through a day or multiple days outside. I bring it camping, hiking, ski touring, anything outside. If you want to see what's inside of this, check out this video right here.